Hey everyone. It is Kate Weatherwise, your favorite weather girl, coming to you on Tuesday, January 27th, 2026. It is near 6 o'clock on the East Coast. Now, I have been very, very busy the past 4 or 5 days, just keeping up with all of the weather, all of the winter storm data that was in, just surrounding that winter storm that started in Texas and New Mexico and moved east and then moved north and just slammed everyone from New Mexico, Texas, all the way up into Maine. So 2/3 of the country, it felt like, was under some sort of watch or warning or advisory, winter storm warning, ice storm warnings. There's so many people still without power from this storm. There's so many people who are still dealing with the aftermath of the storm. It was very rewarding for me because I grew up in this part of the country right here. I grew up right here in this part of the country, and I still have lots of family over here. I went to school at North Carolina State University. I also have lived in Miami for 5 years. I also lived up in Northwest Lower Michigan in Traverse City for a time. Now I live out in Eastern Washington. However, I it felt great to be able to bring weather data to all of them. They all have their own local meteorologists that they watch and enjoy. But for it to come from somebody whom they know and they trust and they actually, care about, personally, it was great. So I was connecting with all of them, telling them what was happening. They were telling me what was, verifying it on the ground and or not, and then relaying data to me and information to me that would help me with my reporting and forecasting. And then they were sending when they could. Of course, they're not sleuther outers like I am. They want to just keep their families safe, keep their families warm, and not get into anything hairy as far as the weather is concerned. So when they had time, when they were able to, they would send me pictures and video. So I still have to put a compilation together of that, but it was a very busy, busy, busy weekend. And looking at this map now compared to what it was over the weekend, this area is so quiet. They're still dealing with the aftermath, and they will be for the next week or so because the temperatures are going to stay cold for this area, and everyone who received ice, the I'm the and then there's a lot. You can see here where the green is. This is hydrological outlooks, and it has to do with, let's just go. There's a flood warning for these areas now. There's no rain, but there was freezing rain, and now it's a lot of ice damming that's heading down into these rivers and creating an issue with flooding and melting things and things like that. So, and the ground is frozen, so you have a lot of that going on that is being dealt with right now with a lot of these areas. And then, of course, the dangerous cold for the weekend. This is in Mississippi. Yeah, this is in Mississippi where I just clicked on. So there's lots of cold still going on for this part of the country. And that's what is happening still, even though the storm has passed. And I am so thankful for all of the workers out there, all of the neighbors, all the people who are coming together, and the workers who are putting power back on for people who still are without power, and then neighbors and friends and so forth who are coming in from all places around to help with the cleanup. It's really great to see. But for now, this is what's going on, the cold. And so now I want to take us over to this map. Is a very interesting map. It shows you the highs and the low pressure. So the deeper the orange to red, that's how much of a high pressure is in control. The blues are the low pressures. Now look at this pipeline in from way up into the Arctic. This is the Arctic Ocean, but way up here, bringing in that cold air pipeline all the way down to the Gulf Coast. That's why we're seeing these cold temperatures down here, and they will continue. Some parts are going to see temperatures not above freezing for nearly a week. And after what just went through, and then the possibility of another storm forming here off the coast this weekend that we'll talk about here in a moment, that is what is happening and what has been happening all winter long. This pipeline of cold air just reaching all the way north and has broken off and just keeps coming down, coming down, coming down. You know, every few days we have more reinforcing cold air. So, and right now, I'm going to take us over to some temperatures. Right now, we have temperatures that are still in the teens and 20s up here. And there's lake effect snow squalls happening up here, 12 degrees, super cold. There's super cold up here in Minnesota. And then you come all the way south, the Nashville area, it's 30 degrees, so it's below freezing. You get slightly above freezing here into Alabama, Mississippi, and into southern Georgia, but it's not that much warmer. And you get all the way down into Florida, and it's down in the Keys, it's 61 degrees down in the Keys. Miami is 62 degrees. It is cold. It is cold, cold, cold. Over here in Texas, it is not much warmer. 63 right down here in Brownsville, or the Brownsville area. It's just cold. So that is something that is just going to be persistent for the next week. Now it's going to warm up. It's going to warm up here. You know, it's not going to be consistently cold. That warmer air is going to move back north because, as you can see, we'll go back over here to this map, and I'll put it back on the satellite and zoom in a little bit. You can still see those south winds coming in here to Texas, but it's going to be cold tonight even still because these winds, even though they're out of the south, it is cold to the south. So it's not bringing in that much warmer of air to warm things up. And they got plenty of ice. I have friends over here too, a family over here who live in this part of Texas, and the further south you go, the less amount of freezing precipitation you got and or snow and maybe just rain. But around the Dallas area, you got plenty of ice, and it has made things very difficult. And then up into Oklahoma, you got lots of snow. And New Mexico, you got lots of snow as well. So as you can see, these northwest winds are still bringing in these lake effect snow bands into northwestern Michigan, down into southwestern Michigan. And I'm going to take us over here to another radar that depicts these snow bands coming in off of Lake Michigan very, very well. This is an infrared satellite imagery with these snow bands coming in off of Lake Michigan all the way down, and then coming in off of the water all the way down. This is just a perfect setup. And then we have some snow moving in. You can see this snow squall that has broke off this initial line and has come here, and it is now going through northeastern Ohio. And you had those snow squall warnings on the National Weather Service page. And here it is a nice clear evening, but that also means cold. It's going to be cold here tonight with these cold weather watches and warnings for North Florida and Central Florida. And so whatever is on the ground, whatever melted, is refreezing at night. Hopefully what melted was everything on the branches. And so now hopefully a lot of that has started to melt, especially in Mississippi and parts of Tennessee. However, it's not, if it's above freezing at all, it's like 1 or 2 degrees above freezing. So it's not really melting a lot to the tune of not having any ice on the branches anymore. So a lot of those trees are still losing their branches or falling over completely. And it's just a really treacherous time for this area. And okay, so now we're going to go over to this is the European model, and this is my favorite model that I like to deal with. Now, there's favorite models for everyone, but this one has served me well over time. And I'm going to push this back a little bit, and we're going to start out. This is on tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning for East Coast time. You still see that cold air coming down, and it's reaching all the way down into Florida. And even though this red shows here, it is still chilly. It is still chilly here, like I said. And there's still a high pressure in place for the west. 2 high pressures, in fact. And that's going to start to break down. I'm going to do a separate video for the Pacific Northwest and actually the west here. So as soon as you get done watching this video, you can roll right into the next video that will talk about the west. If you are a person who lives out west and you're like, why are you just constantly talking about the east? Well, we've had very, not too busy of weather out here, except for Colorado. You were pretty busy with snow on Sunday, but especially out where I'm located, it's been very boring weather-wise. So that's why I've been talking about the east mainly. So this cold air is going to stay in place. As we push forward, we see that cold air continue. Now, this weather system that has been talked about by many meteorologists and people, that is expected to gear up over the weekend. And we'll see here in a moment, this low pressure form off the coast of Florida, and then it moves out over here off the coast of Florida and Georgia and South Carolina. Now there is, depending on where this colder line meets the warmer line, there could actually be more snow in North Florida this weekend. There could actually be. But currently, where this forms off the coast, it's not going to be a huge snow maker for this part of the country. Now, this could change and probably will change. I just don't know in which direction it's going to change, because the last system started on land and it stayed pretty consistent throughout. This one is going to get wound up here off in the ocean, and you don't know the possibility of a nor'easter and things like that. You just don't know where that's going to be when it gets out over here, when that low pressure forms, and how that's going to move. And the winds that are coming down, there's other fronts, there's other troughs, there's other things that will influence this low pressure system's direction. So as we move forward, it looks like currently, like it's only Tuesday, so this will most likely change. But like I said, I don't know in which direction. There's a lot of cold air behind it. So this area is already going to be cold. South Carolina, North Carolina. And you will receive some snow. And this low stays parked right here off the coast. But it also doesn't get wound up until it starts to move away. So eastern North Carolina, you could see the most snow from this system. And then there's a line of mixed precipitation and then rain as you head east of the low, northeast of the low. And look at these isobars. It starts getting really windy for the eastern half of North Carolina as well, up into the mid-Atlantic and all the way up here into the northeast coast. So those isobars stay tightly packed. This is going to be a pretty potent low, but it's going to be pulling away from the U.S. But there's going to be cold air that continues to filter down behind it. So we'll see how that impacts if it stays in this vicinity. I've looked at a few different models, and all of them are all slightly different, which is normal, which is how systems normally go, especially when they form off in the ocean like this. But it really depends on the influence of other systems, of other weather going on around it. That's the direction that it'll get steered. So as the week moves on, then that's when things will get fine-tuned, of course. So then by Sunday night into Monday, this system will be pulling away. And then behind it, there's not much going on. And this high pressure stays intact, stays with us. There's not much going on out here. And that is going to be the case through the 2nd of February, which is Groundhog's Day. And I feel like Groundhog's Day is very fitting for my neck of the woods this year because the weather has not been very weathery lately. So if you want to call that a word. So, and I like to make up words sometimes. So here we go. More cold, more cold, more cold. This is through the 3rd, and this is where I'm going to stop. This is a week out, and I don't like to forecast more than a week out because things always, always, always change. But really quickly, temperature-wise, this is starting tonight. This is actually right now, and the temperatures, as you can see, this where the blues and purples are, it's below freezing, and then the warmth creeps up a little bit into Texas, but as we go forward, it gets colder again with that colder blast coming down, and it's going to go all the way down into Florida tonight, and then it retreats a little bit during the day, and then it comes back down again at night. So, and then look at these temperatures. These are air temperatures, not wind chills as well. -10, -7, -4. That's no joke. -18 up into the very northwestern part of Minnesota. And then it starts to retreat a little bit, but then it starts to come back down again. So during the day, it warms up, of course, and at night, it gets cold again. And it's going to be that way. This is through the weekend. Really cold air comes in this weekend. But when the system comes in, it influences the coastal areas over here on whether there's going to be snow. It looks like there's going to be snow all the way to the coast because that cold air is already going to be in place. So, and then it gets reinforced again and it comes all the way south again. Look at that. This is on Saturday, and then it retreats on Sunday, and then the really, really cold air stays up here into the upper Midwest and into the Northeast. And then finally by next week, this is the 3rd, we start to see 50s and 60s come back into the Texas area. And then more of this cold stays where, where some people would say where it should. So, but it's still going to be cold down here in the Southeast. This is through Tuesday. This is a week away. And it's just not going to, okay, then now this is for Wednesday. We get temperatures back into the 70s and 80s down here into South Texas. So, and temperatures above freezing, but this is Wednesday, Thursday time frame. So this is a week, 8 days, possibly 9 days away before we actually start to see above freezing temperatures and things actually start to thaw out. So that is going to be it for, I was going to put up snow totals, but I'm not going to do that now because it doesn't really make a lot of sense for this upcoming storm because we're still too far out. But I will be posting another video as we get closer to the weekend about that. But that is my weather forecast and update for this week including February 3rd, 2026. So again, if you are not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe and share and comment and like and all of those good things. It really helps me out. All right, all. This is Kate Weatherwise saying bye for now.